Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my first drive video on Audi's new Q5. This particular one is in District Green and I absolutely love it. I think it's a really nice contrasting colour to all of the black styling and the carbon side blades, and it's just unusual. You're not going to see too many of these on the road. It's a horrible December day here. There's wind and rain and all sorts, so I want to jump inside and protect my brand new trainers, and we'll go through the spec and talk about what this car is and then take it out for a quick drive. This is going to be a one-take video. I have the car for about 45 minutes, so it's not going to be anything special. It's just going to be my first impressions on this new Q5. Before we jump in the driver's seat, let me just show you quickly what the interior space is like. I'm 6'4" for those of you that don't know, and I'm going to jump in the front passenger seat now in a comfortable position, and then we'll jump in the back and see if it's good enough for 4 large adults. Okay, so this is set perfectly for me to be comfortable. Armrests are good, plenty of leg space. Yeah, really nice, comfortable position. So let's jump behind and see if there's enough room for one of me. First thing I've noticed when I go to get in the back is the actual door opening is quite small for such a big car. It's really quite limited. But once you're inside, yeah, it feels great in here. Really nice, loads of room. Head, oh, well, my lack of hair is just touching the roof lining, but I'm comfortable. I'm sitting in here really, really nicely. Plenty of light in here. The pan roof obviously helps that. And just a nice place to sit. I don't feel claustrophobic back here. I'm sitting reasonably high as well. So for shorter adults or for children, they're not going to feel too out of the picture sitting back here, if that makes sense. Right, let's jump in the driver's seat and talk through the spec. It's a 45 TFSI Quattro S-Line, and it's in the gorgeous District Green, as we talked about outside. Other options that are fitted to this are the Tour Pack, whatever that consists of, Parking Assistance Pack, so I'm guessing that's cameras and maybe a 360 view. Let's just have a quick look. Yes, indeed. Obviously you can check all of these options on the configurator. We have matrix LED headlamps with OLED rear lights and dynamic front and rear indicators, so the sort of scrolling indicators that have been on Audis for a good few years now. We have electronic wheel adjustment, so instead of a manual adjustment you've got an electrical adjustment, which is really handy if you've got memory seats, but I don't think this one does, so I don't really get that. It's a bit of an excessive option, but there you go. All important panoramic glass sunroof. As you all know, I absolutely love these. Massage function for front seat with lumbar support, nice. And this has a Bang & Olufsen sound system, which I haven't heard, but tend to be very good in Audis. And we've got the Audi phone box with wireless charging. So I'm guessing that's down here. Yeah, we've got a nice bit of storage here. We've got some USB-C ports, and there's a wireless charging pad there, which, well, my Pixel 5 fits on with no issues whatsoever. So the base price for one of these is about, well, the 45 TFSI Quattro S-Line base price is, including on-roads, looking at here, it's about £46,500. This one, with all of those options we've just talked about, is £55,500. So it has about £9,000 worth of options, which is a lot, but it's probably kind of standard these days for people when they spec their cars. And let's face it, the majority of cars are purchased on finance, so it's all about the monthlies. What's this like on the road? Well, driving position's actually pretty good. Although I'm sitting reasonably high because we're in an SUV, I'm sitting reasonably low in the cabin, if that makes sense. So lots of space above my head. Visibility is lovely in here, massive big windscreen in front of me, no real blind spots, everything feels really good. It seems like it's quite a nice car to place on the road, if that makes sense. It's very easy to sort of get your bearings and figure out where the corners of the car are within a couple of minutes, which is really handy. Cabin itself is lovely in here. It's a good mix of old school dials and buttons and some of Audi's latest touchscreen MMI. I've got the virtual cockpit in front of me, which is pretty good. Obviously I always prefer a head-up display. I think that's where the future is, and certainly makes more sense because you're looking through the windscreen. Not sure if a head-up is optional on this car or not. I'm sure it probably is. Right, which way to go? Let's go left here. Under the bonnet we have a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, which puts out about 260 horsepower and 370 newton meters of torque. It's essentially the same engine that you get in, well, a lot of VAG group cars. So even Audi's very latest S3, for instance, the output on that is a bit higher, but yeah, it feels pretty good. I always think in bigger, heavier SUVs, the diesel equivalent is better just because they tend to have a lot more torque and a lot more mid-range, whereas I can feel this one's having to work quite hard to get this car going. Although it does have a claim 0 to 62 figure of 6.1 seconds. What does it feel like pitching it into this roundabout? Do we get some dreaded Audi steer? It actually feels pretty good. It's not rolling too much. I'm not getting much steering feel, but yeah, it seems to handle reasonably safely, as you would expect in an Audi. Let's just test out its acceleration. It actually has launch control, believe it or not. Nothing behind us and nothing in front. Left foot hard down on the brake, right foot on the accelerator. It holds it about 3,500 revs. Here we go. Okay, so there's a tiny pause and there's 60. Tiny pause before it launches. We've got Audi's 7-speed S-tronic gearbox, which is pretty good. It works seamlessly, it's very smooth. My only complaint usually with the S-tronic is if you put it into manual, well, what you think is manual, comes up with an M2 there telling me I'm in second gear. If I put my foot on the floor, it will go up to the red line and then it would change into third, but I haven't asked it to change, and I suppose that's not too much of an issue in something like this because you're very rarely going to be driving it in manual using the paddles. But when you look at that in something like an S3 or let's say a Volkswagen Golf GTI, it does get a bit frustrating because if it's in manual, I want it to be in manual. I want to do my gear change myself. Right, let's make a conclusion after this very quick one-take video. Do I think the Q5 is a good car? Is it 50 grand's worth? Well, it certainly looks nice on the outside with the sort of exterior styling tweaks over the previous model. I love this paintwork, as we talked about. Interior, well, typically Audi, it's lovely in here. The seats are very comfortable. It just looks very premium in here. Everything's just very nice, very well put together. Yeah, it's a nice place to sit, it really is. But you need this roof because without that roof and that little bit of extra light, it would get a little bit depressing in here during the winter months. Everything else, yeah, as we talked about, driving position's good. Performance is okay. It's not as fast as it looks on paper, if that makes sense. And that's just because this 2-litre petrol engine does struggle to haul this weight down the road. Remember, it's only 370 newton meters of torque. I don't know what the 2-litre diesel is, but I'm guessing it's probably closer to 500, which really makes that difference when you're throwing something so heavy down the road. But it doesn't feel strained, it just feels like it needs to work hard, and that's just with me on board and half a tank of fuel. So when you're 4 up, luggage and a full tank, you know, you're adding 300-400 kilos there. I can imagine that it would have to work very hard, and therefore it's probably not very efficient. It's a nice car. It does what it says on the box. I wasn't expecting to get into this and be blown away by its performance or its driving dynamics. but there's nothing that I can complain about, and I guess that's a good verdict to have when I'm talking about an Audi Q5. Please let me know what you think of this car in the comments below, and also whether this video was okay and good enough, because I do set my standards quite high with my videos, but when you're at an event like this and you've got limited time with cars and the weather's against you, etc., sometimes you've just got to make do with what you have, and these videos sometimes do really well, like my M550i video, although that was beautiful sunshine and and lovely light, whereas today's just really a little bit gloomy. Thanks a lot for watching as always, and I will see you at the next one. Cheers.